Suzlon has finally sold its German arm Senvion for 1 billion euros. That is on expected lines. There was an expectation that 1 billion euros would be the selling price. That's about 7,200 crores. Remember, okay, they've sold the German arm Senvion to US-based PE players, and it's an all-cash deal that has come through. Remember, Suzlon is sitting on a huge debt of 15,000 crores, and this is the one effort to retire their debt. The deal will be completed by the end of FY15, so by March itself, and this will deleverage their balance sheet to the extent of 5,000 crores. So their debt will now go down from 15,000 crores to about 10,000 crores. They'll repay all their domestic term loans worth about 5,000 crores. So this deal has finally come through, and this is an attempt by Suzlon to deleverage their balance sheet. 1 billion euros is pretty much what the street was expecting, and it's come through exactly on expected lines. So it's sold to US-based PE fund Centerbridge Partners, and this money will be used in order to retire their debt. This was expected.
Yeah, of course, expected for the better part. There were just some arguments on whether it would be an outright sell or whether it would be a part stake sell, but clearly they may not have found too many takers, and of course in greater need of money. I think the moot point that we will have to ask people like Pragya is what it will mean in terms of loss of revenues, because Senvion also was providing revenues to the Suzlon's otherwise beleaguered P&L, and that will be another impact that will have to be noticed. We cannot be very sure that it's going to be a positive for the stock today itself, because it has been reacting to this news for a goodish bit now, and and therefore today's impact could be muted. Let's get to Pragya, who has been looking at this deal for the past 48, 72 hours. Pragya, how should we understand whatever details you are getting now?
Well, it's pretty much on expected lines. I think the deleveraging will be to the extent of about 5,000 crores. They've sold Senvion, which is their German subsidiary, one of the most profitable pillars in the overall Suzlon business, for about 7,200 crores. This news has been going on for quite some time, but what we understand at this point of time is that, this is very different from Suzlon's earlier plans of listing Senvion on the London Stock Exchanges, where they were possibly anticipating valuations of close to about 2 billion euros. They were looking to sell off almost about 25% stake in the company. Now, there could be a couple of reasons why they've gone ahead with this offer, at least at this point of time. Our talks with the management and from certain sources in the company indicate that, there is a lot of focus on renewable energy in India, and the company wants to be prepared with a cash chest. They have been facing working capital issues for quite some time, so they wanted to be ready for that kind of opportunity, at least at this front. Had the company gone ahead with any kind of an IPO, that would have taken the company about 6 to 8 months. Also, we understand that Senvion, the fact that it's based out of Germany, a lot of the money that gets generated out of it, that cash is ring fenced at this point. So there is a little bit of ambiguity if any kind of money that the company would have raised via an IPO would have actually come back to the Indian parent or not. So it was important for the management to go ahead and execute the stake sale, because this money would definitely come to them, and that would help them pay off their debt quite substantially. Remember, Suzlon has a debt of close to about 16,000 crores. They are under a CDR of 9,500 odd crores worth of money is under CDR. They were talking to the bankers, and it was important to get the bankers nod also on this particular front, given the fact that the shares of Senvion were actually pledged with the lenders under the CDR process. Now, just to put some financials into perspective, this is a company that's
Pragya, can we do one thing? We'll just wait by, because we are getting one of the bankers to Suzlon, and who was obviously party to the deal. So stand by, and you can check out whatever doubts you have with him. R.K. Goyal, the Executive Director of Central Bank, joins us on the phone line. Mr. Goyal, can you tell us exactly how much is coming to the lenders after Senvion is sold off?
Good morning, Lata.
Yes.
So when we issued NOC, based upon the information the company gave to us, they will repay loans to the extent of 5,000 crores. That is one thing.
Yeah.
That out of this money, they are proposing to repay term loan installments which are due till March 15. That means another 3 months installment. And they are supposed to create one DSRA also. So they will create DSRA.
They were supposed to pay one, sorry?
No, they are supposed to create debt service reserve account, DSRA, worth rupees 500 out of this amount. And the balance amount they are, of course, using for their business needs, because they are short of cash, they have liquidity issues. So balance
what is the balance amount, Mr. Goyal?
around 1,200, 1,300 crores.
Okay.
That will be used for their business.
So the total they are making is 6,200 crore in this deal?
Now, what I understand, it is 1 billion euro, which comes to around 8,400 crores.
Okay, and of this 8,400, 5,000 crores is coming to the lenders.
Yeah.
How much is your own exposure and how much are you getting paid back?
Our exposure, of course, I can't divulge the figures as such. We have substantial exposure on this.
And it will fall by what percentage?
It will come down by around, say, it should come down by around 45 to 50%.
Okay.
As far as our exposure is concerned.
So this will be pro rata?
It is not the case with all the banks. The reason being, those banks who have financed for that particular acquisition, which they did in 2007, 2007-8. Okay. So that loan only they will pay off out of this side.
Okay, so the financiers to the RE power purchase will get paid off.
Yeah. That is one thing. Plus all term loan obligations which are due till March 15, they will pay off.
All right. And who are the biggest lenders to the RE power deal? Were you the biggest? Who were the others?
No, offhand I don't remember, because you are this reporter called me just now. I was getting ready for the office. Okay.
You wouldn't have at least a few other banks who are like you, who will be advantaged?
I think most of the banks will be at advantage. So all the banks who are there in the consortium, they have either smaller or bigger portion in that RE power.
Is there anything else that Suzlon has promised under the CDR? Should we expect more asset sales?
No, the only thing is, once this money comes in, naturally their liabilities will come down. This is mainly for the purpose of managing their liabilities. And naturally their losses will also come down, because they were incurring huge losses from this RE power. So then they will be in a position to rebalance their operations in India. And in the near future, hopefully they will come out of these losses.
Okay, but you don't have any idea as to how much, therefore, their profit will fall, because they must also be getting profit from Senvion, isn't it? We are given to understand that Senvion was making profits of about 146 million euros in the last financial year. Do you have any idea how much their revenues of the consolidated entity will come down?
As far as I remember, based upon the discussions we had in the last meeting, 2013-14, they had a net loss of around 3,500 crores.
Okay.
And out of that, their Indian operations loss was only 900 crores. So that means their foreign operations loss was around rupees 2,600 crores.
Fair enough.
The major portion must be coming from the Senvion only. This is what I remember.
All right, Mr. Goyal, we'll leave it at that. Sure. Thank you for joining us. So that's the word coming in from Central Bank. But let's go across to one of the biggest lenders, SBI. Mr. Kannan joins in now to give us his view. Mr. Kannan, can you just tell us what is the exact exposure that SBI has to Suzlon, and how much in total will come back to lenders now?
I'm sorry, I don't have the full particular, because I'm not handling that this was handled by me a long time ago, so right now I don't have the particulars, but it's quite a large amount, and I think the entire amount we expect to go towards reducing the rupee debt, which is a very high cost debt, and therefore they will be in a position to service the debt completely. And this was one of the things which was suggested in the CDR, the possibility of Senvion being sold, which will reduce the debt of the entire company, and become deal which will help them to margin and service the entire debt.
So but you can share some numbers of how much your own exposure will come down by?
I'm sorry, I'm unable to give any particulars because I don't have the full particulars.
But you paid for the RE power purchase, SBI did?
No, the entire consortium had given some facilities for purchasing of the RE power, had given a loan and also enabled them to take some FCBs. And some of them are converted into rupee loans. And therefore, the entire debt is sitting on the Suzlon. And that will come down to the extent of 5,000 crores of rupee once the payment comes from Senvion.
So who are the biggest lenders to the deal?
We are one of the biggest lenders, one of the big lenders. And there are a few others who are also, I think there are a large number of banks, almost 18, 19 banks. But some of the other PSBs are also involved in it.
What is the SBI total exposure, sir?
I'm sorry, I don't have the full particulars.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. One more word, Mr. Kannan. Are you there with us?
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that has been promised as part of the CDR package? Any other asset sales?
No, I think they have already started working on it. They had a few other items also which they wanted to sell. But this was the main thing. The others will not fetch such a large amount. So this is the one which has fetched a large amount, and I think they have been quite successful.
But there are more assets to sell at all?
No, I don't think so. They had identified two other smaller companies which they went, but full particulars. I think this is the thing. The others will not fetch a very large amount, and this particular one is one. I think though they have got 1 billion only, but it will be a substantial amount to go towards reducing the debt.
All right, Mr. Kannan, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining us. Let's also get one quick check on how to approach the Suzlon stock this morning, because the news flow has just come out. Ambareesh Baliga is with us. Ambareesh, what would you do? I mean, we've seen a lot of companies sell their profitable assets to retire debt. We saw it in the case of JP Associates a while back. But how would you approach Suzlon this morning?
Suzlon, I think this is a positive news. The negative is that there will be an investment loss. I think they're selling it at lower than the price at which they are bought. But more importantly, it is at least helping them clear off at least a decent part of the debt. So that's, that's the positive part of it. Because
maybe you want to hear from Sajith what are the total, what is the total P&L loss as well if this is sold off. Sajith Mangata, Bombay Bureau Chief, joins in. Sajith, can you give us the contours of the deal?
The deal is struck in such a manner that Suzlon gets around 1 billion euros for the sale of Senvion. As part of that deal, the lenders and the agreement which Suzlon has entered with lenders, Suzlon will pay off 5,000 crores of term loans. That's primarily rupee-based term loans of Indian lenders, and the remaining amount it will try to get a working capital loan from lenders. So that's one of the agreements which have been struck. Also, the fact is that Suzlon is trying to get into the offshore wind market. So there is a technology agreement which has been signed between Senvion and Suzlon, wherein Suzlon will pay a license fee for the offshore technology license, and Senvion will be paying Suzlon a license fee for the onshore technology license.
So this is a constant stream of money, the license fee?
Yeah, it is a constant stream of money. Suzlon will be paying around 40 million euros a year as license fee, while Senvion will be paying around 70 million euros a year, subject to the fact that they are able to get 300 megawatts of onshore orders on a yearly basis. So that's a kind of technology license agreement.
No, sorry. 40 million euros will come from Senvion to Suzlon.
40 million euros will go from Suzlon to Senvion for offshore technology, and 70 million euros will come from Senvion to Suzlon for Suzlon's onshore technology. Remember, Senvion just completed an onshore park wind farm in Europe, and hence it's expanding in the onshore market in that region, and so this technology will allow it to expand further for a technology fee.
Assuming this net 30 million comes to Suzlon from Senvion, would you know, Sajith, what were the revenues they were making from Senvion, and therefore if you net this off, how much may be the loss in the P&L, loss to the profit?
They have been making a lot of, I think last financial year the losses, the profit was around 146 million, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, that's wrong. Right.
And the figures which are there, which will be available. But the fact is that now it will go as a standalone Suzlon instead of a consolidated Suzlon there. And what I'm given to understand is that the interest cost savings would be to the tune of 500 to 600 crores on an annual basis. So that will trickle down into what you call the P&L of the company. Further, there's some other things which are coming up, like they have to pay up roughly around $1.15 billion over the next 3 years. This repayment has to happen in terms of term loans and FCCBs which are coming up for repayment in April 16 and I think March 18 or something. So that amount they would be able to do it. As of now, they will be falling short by some amount, but they expect the cash flows to generate enough to pay up the entire repayment or to pay up the entire loans. So that's one thing which is there, and the second aspect is that Suzlon has been making some losses. So there is a dent in the net worth, so it might have to file with BIFR as well. So So that's one thing which might come in, but it's not certain at this point of time. It will come. They'll get a better handle of it after the annual results that come out in March.
Okay, that's a big one. We'll have to check with the bankers whether this is also there. I wish we had known when we spoke with the bankers. Pragya, you have about 20 seconds.
But the exact details would be, available only after the final audited numbers come out.
Okay.
And what's the impact on the net worth. But that, of course, that will be one of the issues which will be handled as it comes.
All right, Sajid. Thanks for that. Well, Suzlon in pre-opening is up 20%, so expect a big move in opening itself. Some more details, as Sajid was pointing out, the blended interest cost will fall to around 7% from a little over 10%, since a large part of the loans will be dollar denominated. There is a repayment of the schedule will be about to the tune of $1.1 billion, and about 180 crores of FCCBs will have to be repaid by April 2016. So these are just certain terms of this particular deal, but this will reduce about 5,000 crores of debt, and that's the reason you're seeing a big move on the stock as well. IDBI Bank, the chairman and managing director MS Raghavan joins in now. Mr. Raghavan, can you just tell us what is exactly the exposure that IDBI Bank has to Suzlon, and how much will come back to the lenders now?
These things have to be, the final points have to be worked out now. The first thing is Senvion deal was being talked about for quite a while to a PNP investor. And then now the company has come out with a statement. Now the CDR lenders have to sit down and approve this deal.
Okay. Oh, you all have yet to approve the deal.
Yes,
they didn't take an NOC from you before. They took an NOC from you.
Yeah, they have to come back to the CDR lenders to take an NOC for the deal.
How big a lender were you to the RE Power purchase itself?
We have got a significant exposure.
Okay. No, Central Bank told us that they were one of the bigger lenders to RE Power. Are you as big as they are?
No, we are not in RE Power totally. We are in Suzlon total.
Okay, not so much in RE Power? I would assume...
RE Power, there are no local lenders. It will be lenders from abroad. This is RE Power is...
No, Mr. Raghavan, what I meant is, did you loan Suzlon at the time of the purchase of RE Power?
I'll have to go through the records. I don't have the...
Because what we heard from the bankers was that those who lent for the purchase of RE Power, for the acquisition of RE Power, will be the first to benefit, which is why I wanted to know whether you will be one of the bigger beneficiaries.
We will definitely be one of the beneficiaries of this deal. Okay. And to the extent of 5,000 crores coming down, then we will have a substantial portion of our liabilities also adjusted. Yes, it will happen.
Will you provide any working capital loan to Suzlon now, and to what would the quantum be, if at all? What could the rate be?
Working capital loan off and on used to provide a working capital loan for them for specific projects, and that used to get repaid at the end of the project. Now there is some request pending with us, and we will be looking into it in the due course.
This deal won't pull Suzlon into the black, will it? Because
it won't. They have a total exposure of close to 11,000 crores, and 5,000 crores goes off. It will be about 6,000 crores. Still, debt will be remaining. Okay. With about 30% or 40% coming of their total revenues coming from the local operations, the whole sustainability has to be looked into. Okay.
Okay. Sustainability. Are you saying it's a BIFR case?
No, it is the servicing capacity has to be re-looked into. The whole CDR lenders have to sit down and discuss it.
You're saying that only 30 or 40% of the revenues come from local operations?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so 60% less is going to be the revenues of the Suzlon minus Senvion P&L?
I don't have the numbers right now. I'll be able to give you after some time. Okay. I will send it across to you.
All right. Okay. Also, are there any other asset sales or any other agreement that is promised as part of this deal?
I have not gone into this deal because yesterday only that board must have passed, and it will be referred to the CR lender soon. Okay. I'll have to go through the finer points, and then I will comment afterwards.
Okay. All right, Mr. Raghavan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us with further details. So I think what we've gleaned now is that there is going to be a substantial absence of revenues because of Senvion moving out. If only 30 or 40% is coming in from local earnings. So actually, the words used by the banker is sustainability of the debt after this payout, because it also takes away a very big profit and revenue generating asset from the books. I mean, more details are needed to understand what is the balance Suzlon going to look like.
But that is the case with so many of these companies that have to retire their debt, right? We saw it in the case of JP Associates as well.
Yeah, no, this one is in losses.
This one, of course. Yeah.
So if it gets deeper into losses, that will be, that is something the investors have to take note of. The stock is, however, up about 3%, 2.5% at this point in time.